Hello everyone, welcome back. We are working on the 4.3 GM motor today. I don't do a lot of V motors, so I had to put my rig back in there to fasten a V motor down. Got a little handle over there with some notches so I could, have it at the correct angle to hone it. We're not actually honing this one. I measured all the bores. I hope you can see how nice that came out. I measured all the bores, 4 inches and 1/1000. So we're just going in there with a ball hone to clean up the cylinders and give them a nice cross hatch. Yeah, the lighting is kind of tricky, but we got a very nice cross hatch on there now. And we've got to do the 2 cylinders on this side, and then we'll flip it and do the other 2. There's the proper size ball hone. You want to run those between 5 and 800 RPM, and just give an up and down motion to get your 45-degree crosshatch. And anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds per cylinder usually does the trick. Okay, that's about all you need, and the cylinders are in good condition. Like I say, this engine was in remarkable condition when I took it apart. We've got the crank polished and cleaned, and we're just getting these honed. We'll give it one more cleaning, and then we can begin assembling the bottom end here. Put the crank in, pistons, get the rods in, sized and stuff. But this is just going to be not a high performance build, but a good solid runner. And like I said, I'm going to mate this to a 465 and a Dana 18 transfer case. And like I say, probably go in a 3B project. This is just a long-term thing, but I want to get the engine rebuilt and show you guys what goes into a 4.3. So I'm just going to keep on with this and show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, now we'll get the other 3. I think you can see how easy it is to get a V motor in there and get the cylinders where you need them with that bar in there. But after this motor, I'll probably take that out because I've got to finish up Hal's motor and stuff. So it just comes in and out when you got to do a V motor or something like that. Okay, I'll try and show you the crosshatch we got in there. Maybe with a little light on that. I'm not sure if you can see that, but we've got a very nice finish in there. The rings will seat real nice. It's just a small step, and if you have a motor that you're just freshening up, maybe doing a ring job or something like that, running a ball hone through there will really give you a nice proper surface again for getting those new rings to seat. But we're just going to let this kind of drip here for a little bit, and then it's got to go for its final wash before we can put it together. So I'll just stand it up straight. Kind of let that drip off a little bit, and we'll get out there and get it on a table and start pressure washing it. Okay guys, while the engine's draining, I went and grabbed all my connecting rods, and we're checking the bore both ways here. The factory spec is 2-inch, 374 and 7/10, to 2-inch 375 and 7/10. What I like to do is also look at my connecting rod bearings, and there's no weird wear in here that would give an indication that the rod was out of round. So I measured them anyway, and every one of my connecting rods came in between 2-inch 374 and 7/10 and 2-inch 375 and 2/10. So we're well within specs. Every one of the bearing shells looks good, so we're not going to resize these. If you guys want to see a rod resizing video, I've done it a few times on some Willys engines. Same exact thing for GM or any rod. You cut the cap, you cut the rod, and then you hone it round again. I have videos out there if you want to see how that's done. These particular rods do not need to be resized, but we do need to get the pistons off, and I'll show you how we do that. You want to be conscious of your rod orientation and the piston. There is a front and a back to the piston. I hear stories of guys taking their rods and pistons to machine shops and everything getting put on backwards. Be conscious of what you're doing when you remove and reinstall the pistons. Okay guys, next thing we got to do is get that pin pressed out. And it's held tightly in the connecting rod. And this is my pin removal and installing set. This is made by Kentmore. This is the main thing that goes on your press. And then here's your box of goodies. You got different little shoes like this. And these go in here. And it's just easier to show you this off the press. And then this little shoe, well, when you put the pressure, you're not pressing on the piston. That's up against the connecting rod there. So you get the right size little shoe, stick it in there. And capture your rod. And take a driver. Hang in there. And then you put that in the press and you press it through. Now if you take this, put it in a hydraulic press, and the pin is stuck, you could overpower this setup and break it. There's a lot of broken ones of these out there. If you have a hard time and it doesn't press out easily, a little bit of heat on a connecting rod will expand it just enough. Then when you're going to reinstall it, this is a calibrated press tool, and you just figure out based on the chart what letter and number you need to be on, and you'll press them in perfect every time. So we're going to go over to the press. I do it on the arbor press because the hydraulic press is just too much. I can't feel as good as I can with this. If this doesn't come out with a reasonable amount of pressure, we'll take a tiny bit of heat, put it on the connecting rod. Okay guys, we're in the arbor press. And I'll kind of zoom you in there. Normally when you take a piston and connecting rod out of an engine, it's gonna put up a pretty good fight. And when you get this kit, the instructions say don't put more than 7,500 pounds of pressure because you can break the little horseshoe piece or the whole rig there. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on that, and it's rock solid. So I'm just going to go get the little map gas torch. I'm going to heat that connecting rod. We'll see if we can't push it through. Okay, we're going to concentrate our heat right on the connecting rod. It shouldn't take much, just a little bit. It'll usually get it to pop free. Okay guys, we got a little bit of heat on there. You can see it smoking, and it's finally starting to push through. Okay, pin fell out the bottom, and that's about what it takes to get those things pressed out of there. Like I say, when you're taking a piston and rod out of an engine, oftentimes they're stuck like this. Going back together, we'll put a little bit of pin lube on there, and they will press together a lot easier than they're coming apart. So you don't need to overheat the rod too much. There was a bunch of oil in there, that's why it's smoking. Don't overheat the rod, and just go nice and easy, and you'll feel it. It'll just, all of a sudden it'll start to move, and then boom, just push it right through, and you'll be all set. This is number 2. I got 4 left to go. Okay guys, all the pistons are removed, and I have one installed right now. I just wanted to make sure I had my gauge set right. Everything is good, and we're going to grab a piston, and I'm going to show you on the tool how this works. Like I say, it's easier than the than when it's on the press. So let me grab a piston over here. And like I say, you got to be conscious. There's a and it's hard to see, but there's an arrow right here, and that goes forward. And don't get that screwed up. You don't want to get your pistons installed on the rods backwards. So we're just going to take our rod with the piston oriented the right way, get that guy kind of started. And you're going to have a variety of these aluminum pins in your kit if you're using this style. And those go, that gets the rod and the piston centered. So when you're pressing, it doesn't go on an angle or anything. And I like to just give this little aluminum thing just a tiny little tap to hold it in there. Okay, we'll grab the rod again, just like when we were pressing it out. Okay, now it's in our jig there. And I'm lined up on G8. And when this surface presses down to this surface, every pin will be installed exactly the same. So it's easier to see here on the bench, I think. But this, you could dial this will fit a whole bunch of different pistons. You just dial this to what you want, and put the letter and the number that you need in place, and every single one will be the same. So we're going to lubricate that pin, and we're going to head over to the press, and I'll show you how we press that on there. Okay guys, there's a couple different ways of getting your pin in there. You could take your rod, you could put it in a rod heater. It will expand the small end, and then you can just drop the pin in there by hand. And as long as you get it set up properly, that works. Okay, you see our pin just dropped out of there. We're going nice and straight. You could do it like this, cold, and I think if I put the rod in a rod heater, guys would tell me that I ruined the rod, and by doing it this way, they'll tell me, why didn't you use a rod heater? So everybody's got their own way of doing this. I just like to do it that way. Just press it in. You see it presses in easily. Take our press tool out. And every time you get the exact proper press in there. You can repeat it easily. You could do the same thing with a rod heater. You just set up a jig where you just drop it through there. Either way is fine. But like I say, it seems like every time I do something, people pop up and say I'm doing it wrong, or they do it a different way. There's always a couple ways to do stuff. This is the way I do it. This is the way I like to do it. I don't have a rod heater. I never had the need for one. But that's a fine way to do it if you decide you'd like to do it that way. So that's the second one. I got 4 more to go. I won't keep you just watching the same thing over and over again. But I'll be right back with you when I get all the pistons on all the connecting rods. Okay guys, this is our last pin to push in. And you'll notice they go pretty smooth in here. Now I like to use a little bit of press lube on that. You can use regular engine oil on your pin. You could get press lubricant for things that get pressed together from Goodson. I don't know if any of you guys deal with them or not. They sell a lot of stuff for engine builders, and I really like those guys. They got a real nice catalog and super group to deal with. I don't get anything from them or anything. I'm not, not advertising them, but they have real nice press lube, and the pistons go together so much nicer with the press lube than they do with regular engine oil. If you're doing it not by heating the rod and you're pressing them in there, you might want to give that stuff a try. It's not terribly expensive, and you can get a spray or a can of it, and it lasts a long time. That's just what I like to use. You see how easy they press in there. I mean, it's no trouble at all. And like I say, with the jig here, everything comes out exactly the same every time. So just something to think about if you got to press some pistons together. Okay guys, there's all 6 pistons and rods put together, and we got the pistons all going the correct direction. And there's our tool, and you saw it made easy work of it. And I hope that gives you guys an idea of a couple different ways to put things together, like I say, either with a rod heater or with a press tool like that. If you're doing this at home, hope it helps you out. I was gonna wash the block today, but it's pouring rain out now, and I don't feel like pressure washing or steam cleaning in the pouring rain. So it's gonna have to wait for another day. But we have the crank in a bag, all cleaned up. We have the pistons and rods ready to go. I have the rings, I have the main bearings, I have the rod bearings, I have just about everything I need to put the lower end together. And we'll see when we get a little bit better day. Maybe tomorrow, hopefully I can get that all washed up. I'm still continuing on with the 258 and with two different Willys L heads I got going on right now. So there's a lot of engine work going on. A few guys have asked me if I was going to do any more sheet metal videos. I don't know what guys would like to see, but if you'd like to see any more sheet metal videos, I haven't been showing those too much, but I've still been doing a lot of stuff. I could get back to those as well. Just put a comment below. Let me know if there's any particular content you'd like to see, and I can show you different things. But with the rain coming, that's all we have for today. So that's all I have for you. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and everybody have a good new year.